Welcome to our Leisure Sundays, and if you're a gamer, then this is your particular slot, along with Nick Cowan, the Associate Editor of Stuff Magazine. Nice to have you with us again, Nick. I believe that we're going a little bit retro this Sunday.
We're going very, 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 very retro. Um, a million, okay, so a million years ago, back in the
Yeah.
1980s, you might remember that Atari ruled the roost as a console underneath your television, and that most of your time, if you were a gamer, was spent at cafes and video arcades.
Mm.
And what Capcom has Capcom is one of these old publishers. They've released something called Capcom Arcade Stadium, and what that essentially is all those old classic games that you used to play back in the day in an arcade cabinet. Except this time you don't need to spend your entire allowance worth of 20-cent pieces to play them. You just actually have them on a console or a PC.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the old Sunday afternoon down at the Greek Cafe, but it's
Indeed.
but it's now on your console. Well, I mean, what sort of games are you looking at here, Nick?
Okay, well, I mean, you've got everything from really old games like 1941, if you remember that game, which was you were a plane and you were flying over the Pacific and shooting loads and loads of other planes. You've got Legendary Wings, where you were you could play it on your own or play it with a friend. You were two people who had wings and you flew around shooting things. But it also goes a bit further forward. For example, you've also got things like Street Fighter Two, which essentially saved the arcade. Not just here but overseas as well, where you have different fighters from around the world battling it out right in front of you. It really is. It's kind of like if you are a massive geek, and I am. This is the sort of thing that you've been waiting for quite some time, and you just have a plethora of games that you go on your console and introduce them to your kids. And once again, it's very, very family friendly entertainment because this sort of stuff had to be released for the arcade. So it had to be released in a space where kids could be left on their own to play their own games. So, you can give this to your kids and not worry about what they're hearing online. It's a really, really great package, actually.
Have they in any way enhanced the games? Is it, well, I think what I'm trying to say is it the same game that you would have played on the console in the arcade, or have they enhanced anything graphically or technologically in any way?
It's Sunday morning. You haven't had your coffee yet. So, no, they have enhanced a couple of things, but essentially it is the same experience you had in the day. And to be quite frank, it reminds me of how much better I used to be at these games back in the day because I could finish Street Fighter 2 on one 20-cent piece, and now I just get my backside handed to me by the game. I think it's one of those things for people like me. It's kind of like it shows you were much better playing these games when you were a lot younger. Um, my stepdaughter, on the other hand, has managed to cane them. So there you go. Um, but it is the same experience in general that you had back in the day, which is not a bad thing. It kind of shows you that these games are timeless. And there's a reason that they were so popular at the time, and there's a reason that they'll be popular now.
Just as a matter of interest, do you remember how old you were when you started gaming?
I think I've been playing games as when I was tall enough to reach an arcade cabinet. Let's put it that way. Um, the first game, and this probably ruined me for life, was a Star Wars game back in England when I was 4 years old, and you sat in an actual cabinet and you had a controller in front of you, and believed you were flying an X-wing fighter, and that kind of ruined me for life. So yeah, 4 years old.
Tell me about Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection now.
Okay, so Ghosts and Goblins. That was a very old game, and roughly from the era that we were talking about with Capcom's Arcade Stadium, and it also was made by Capcom. Essentially, what you do is you are a knight named Arthur because you know
All
why
Knights
not,
are Arthur.
and you run. Indeed, and you run around. It's a side-scrolling thing, so you're running through what looks like a never-ending graveyard, throwing lances at demons and goblins and all the rest of it that are coming towards you. Ultimately, you are trying to save a princess because that's never been done in games before. But they did it roughly before Mario did, so you can give them a little bit of rope. Um, what I remember about this game and what has come through on Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected, which is essentially a juiced up version of what you used to play in the arcade, is that it is absolutely rock hard. I used to refer to this game as Stuff You Little Kid, the game, because it was that hard. And still that hard, and it brings back a lot of painful memories for me. But for, like I said, my stepdaughter and her friends, they really enjoy it and they're plowing through it, although they have adjusted the difficulty for themselves.
Why is the press releases and news and all the usual gaming stuff that does come is a bit thin at the moment? What's happening there, Nick?
Well, the releases are thin. The press releases are coming thick and fast. But the reason that the releases are thin is mainly due to the fact that we're just about to hit E3 season. And E3 is the biggest video gaming expo on the planet. It's usually held in Los Angeles. Developers, publishers, journalists descend the convention center out there, and we see all the new games that the big guns have coming out ahead of the Christmas release period. Now, unfortunately, due to COVID, the whole thing is being held remotely. But what you're seeing right now is the reason that the gaming releases are a bit thin on the ground is because everyone's keeping their powder dry. Um, if you are a kid or a gaming fan, this is what you're going to look forward to for the next couple of weeks. If you are a parent, you're probably going to start crying because you're going to see that your wallet is going to be horribly abused by these publishers in the run to Christmas. After E3, your kids are usually going to come with a laundry list of, Dad, I want this, and this. And you're going to be like, yeah, great.
Whenabouts is it, Nick?
It happens in the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
essentially. We'll probably be talking about this next week because there's going to be a whole host of new games, new IPs, sequels to games that are coming out. And once again, like I said, the video games industry is kind of crafty this way, in that they'll be like, oh, and this will be available in fall or winter of 2021, which, of course, for us means spring or summer, just in time for Christmas.
Yeah, right. Okay, look forward to that. Thank you very much, Nick. Have a wonderful week, mate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers. Nick Cowan, the associate editor of Stuff Magazine, right here on Mansfield Today. If you do like the program, press like, and if you'd like to subscribe, press subscribe. We'll have more on gaming next week with Nick Cowan once again. Look after yourself. Cheers. Bye-bye.